Edgar, Jar, we do we yo 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 yo. Alright, what's really happening with price tags? So to grant refer, yeah, grant. It's grant.
Apple and this Apple are the exact same, except for one thing.
The
I only
price?
paid $129 for this Apple, but for this one, you paid nearly 3 times that. Not because yours is any better, it's not organic, and I didn't get mine on sale. These are exactly the same, but the algorithm decided that you would pay more than me. Let me explain.
Listen, folks, your milk might start having a rush hour price to it.
These price tags started updating right in front of me.
Just stick it to your customers just a little bit more.
What a wild concept.
Carnegie, Rockefeller, and Vanderbilt. What do they all have in common? They owned monopolies. Carnegie was the king of steel, Rockefeller was the king of oil, and Vanderbilt was the king of railroads. These guys focused all of their time and money on one thing, and that was dominating their industries. As their businesses grew, they were able to effectively crush any competition and choose whatever price they wanted to charge. And they were pretty much untouchable. But in 1890, a senator from Ohio formed a bill that would allow the government to step in. This bill, also known as the Sherman Act, only had 2 sections. Section 1 made price fixing illegal, and Section 2 made it a crime to monopolize or attempt to monopolize an industry. As you can imagine, when the government passes a law that goes against the richest people in the country, they usually find creative ways around it. So in 1914, the government had to pass the Clayton Act, which was specifically made to ban practices like price discrimination and exclusive dealing agreements. It also created the Federal Trade Commission to enforce all those rules. But even with the FTC and the Sherman Act today, things aren't really working like they should.
A fancy way of saying your groceries are going to start acting like airline tickets.
So let's play a game to really understand what we're dealing with. Here we have 2 grocery stores, Dave's and Willie's. To keep things simple, let's pretend they each sell the same thing. Both stores sell their apples for $3 a piece. Customers don't really have a preference, so they just shop wherever their heart desires. But Dave decides that he wants to make a little bit more money, so he lowers his price to $2.50. For the next week, the majority of customers start shopping at Dave's for their apples because they're cheaper. But as soon as Willie catches on to this, he lowers his price to $1.99. Again, all the shoppers follow the lower price and move back to Willie's. As you can imagine, this could just continue indefinitely, and that's why it's called a race to the bottom. This is the ideal scenario for us because companies are forced to compete for the lowest price to attract the most customers. However, after all this back and forth, both Willie and Dave are now making way less than they did when both of their prices were $3. If they could get together and create a plan, they could both raise their price to $5 and make way more because customers have nowhere else to go for their apples. But that would be considered collusion, and that's illegal according to the Sherman Act. But is it illegal if it's not humans doing the collusion and instead it's the algorithm? And what if the algorithm didn't just know what everyone else was charging, but it also knew everything about you? We're gonna get to that, but I have something else to show you first. Exchange traded funds were built in the 90s, and when you invest in one, you get what you get. You can't customize it, and there's only about 4,000 total options in the United States, and sometimes you may not want to invest in some of the companies inside of them. But what if I told you there was another option? Our sponsor Public just launched something called Generate 4. If you invest only actually take a look at this chart.
Oh, my
it's
bad.
a simple concept. Visit public.com/grant. Let's take a look at this chart. It's a simple concept most of us learned in school. Here you have a line showing the supply, and here is the demand. The point where these lines cross is the optimal price an object should be. As the demand goes up, the price goes up. As the demand goes down, the price goes down. This used to be the main way of pricing goods, but ever since we started carrying these around, things have changed. Airplane tickets were some of the first things most of us noticed. Depending on what time of year you were buying them or when the trip was planned for, it might be more expensive or less expensive. This is what's called dynamic pricing. It's the reason Ubers cost more during rush hour and why flights cost more during spring break. Dynamic prices are set by non-customer specific variables. These are things that are determined without any customer data, but as we've started to open our lives up more and more to data collection, we've pretty much opened Pandora's box and allowed companies to take complete control of our spending. If we return back to the Sherman Act, you'll remember that price collusion is considered illegal. For something to be considered collusion, there needs to be an agreement to fix prices between multiple parties. But that agreement doesn't need to be said, written, or even directly agreed on. It could be something as simple as a wink. For example, if Dave and Willie, our grocery store owners, are out golfing one day and Dave says, "Man, the price on these apples is way too low." Then they both go and raise the prices the next day. That's considered illegal collusion. In other words, you don't need a direct agreement at all. You just need to prove that they are no longer acting independently. That leads us to the problem we're having today. And in order to explain this, I think we need to order some groceries.
Alright. God, I created this. Oh, just for a video.
Now, Instacart has been getting some heat lately. In a recent investigation, Consumer Reports found that grocery store prices were completely different for each customer, sometimes as much as 23%. And most of us know Instacart because of their app and being able to simply order our groceries instead of walking around the aisles of a grocery store, but they are also the leading software that grocery stores rely on. I mean, just think about it. Instacart had over 250
Get what you need for a price you'll love. Choose the new Allianz Comprehensive Essentials car insurance. Ah, Allianz.
50 million orders in the first 3 quarters of 2025 alone. That's hundreds of millions of data points that they can compile and sell to the grocery stores to improve their efficiency. Because it's a digital storefront, there aren't any price tags and they can update things in real time. They even acquired Eversight in 2022, which is an AI company designed to optimize pricing, promotions, and discounts. But that optimization isn't for the customers, it's for the
Wow.